Hi everyone, it's Kate from the Fold9. I am back this week to talk all things sewing bee. What a night it was. Another really tricky week. So it was upcycling week. And yeah, I thought the challenges again were really tricky. So before I get started, I just want to say that next week, unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to do this video. I am going away with 8 of my best friends on a holiday for 4 days for our 40th. We're coming from all bits of the UK, and yeah, I'm going to be in France, so obviously with the BBC I won't be able to watch it, which makes filming it quite difficult. So I have in the past taken my laptop and done it on a holiday, but I just don't think I'm going to be able to this time. So I'm really sorry, there won't be a video next week. There might be a blog post, but we're going to try and do a blog post, but there definitely won't be a video, so apologies. It's just, you know, life. Anyway, I'm going to get started. So first challenge they had, which was really interesting. Okay, I feel like I'm really out the loop. Did anyone else? So they had to make this like quilted bag, and the interesting thing was that they put scraps of fabric within like a sheer, like almost like a chiffon, not chiffon, but like I can't think of the right type of fabric, but you know, like a sheer fabric, and then quilt it. And on the sewing bee they said that it had been really popular everywhere on the internet. I'd never heard of this. Am I really archaic? I hadn't heard about this at all. I hadn't seen anyone do it. Just let me know if I'm really behind the times, because I just couldn't find it. I've never seen it, but it was such an amazing challenge. So they then made these sort of like a little bag with a kind of flap over the top. I had a look at bags. It was quite, there wasn't something that was perfect, but the Noodlehead Harrelson bag felt quite similar. It had the kind of flap over the top. It's got a fastening, which is slightly different to the one they had, but proportion-wise, quite similar sort of size. And actually would work well if you wanted to recreate that sort of quilting technique. I'd be really fascinated to give it a try, because it seems, it looks really cool. Anyway, sorry, tea break. Then they had the upcycling challenge, which is what they had in the middle, and they always have this every single week. And then the final challenge, which I thought was incredibly tricky, a made to measure. So they had to make a kind of party dress using an old wedding dress. So they were given the wedding dress. That obviously they could bug out. They went out and bought the wedding dress, and they were allowed to take it apart, dye it, like basically almost like get it ready to be used as a fabric in the show. And like that is just so tricky, because you're then looking for patterns based on the kind of fabric size that you have. I thought it was a really interesting challenge, and what they made was great. So let's start with the pattern, shall we? So Alex, whose was absolutely incredible. I just love this. So it's almost like 2 outfits. We've just done one half of the outfit. So she made this kind of quite loose fitting, big shoulder dress, and it had this amazing like ruffle, asymmetric ruffle going down one side of the hem. I thought it was really clever. She'd painted the fabric to make it look like, it looked amazing, almost looked like graffitied fabric. It looked really great. So pattern wise, I was looking for something that was with a big sleeve and quite kind of loose fitting, so that you could then, you know, add things to it, because most of the patterns this week were kind of hacked. So we thought that the Fibre Mood Doris dress would work really well. It's got kind of the components that she had. You can see it's got little darts here, and then it's quite loose fitting, so it means that you could then hack it however you wanted. The sleeve has got, it had that big sort of statement sleeve, which hers had, so I thought that would work really nicely for the first one. Then we had Alsa. Now this was, I would say, probably the most tricky of the ones we would, I don't know, this one was really difficult. So she'd made a sort of corseted top with this kind of quite enormous long skirt with kind of slits up the side, and then I think she'd used either the petticoat or the veil to then create a kind of like little sheer dress that kind of went over the top. There was a lot going on. So I had a look and I thought that if you liked that sort of corseted top, and this actually pattern is really lush if you haven't seen it, the McCall's 8182 would work really well. It's got the kind of corset feeling, but it's not like a full-on, it's kind of like a wearable everyday corset. There's a variation you can see with just little straps, which I thought would work really well and gives you, and it had that crossover detail at the front that hers had. The skirt, I thought that the Vogue 1941 would work really well. There's quite a lot going on. There's a lot of volume in it. It's actually a really cool skirt. Again, ignore, like with all of these, ignore the styling. Just look at the pattern, look at the line drawing, because it's actually quite an interesting pattern. It's almost got like a pair of trousers. It's a really cool pattern. Anyway, so that was Elsa. Don, his dress, we looked for ages for this one, actually. It was quite a tricky one. So I thought that, because the picture, the line drawing, so on how Rachel and I do this is, as the show goes on, they put up pictures of the line drawing. Rachel and I take photos on our phone and then start looking. We're also then looking to see if anywhere the pattern numbers appear. And then we start hunting. But his looked totally different in real life to the line drawing. So we ended up going for a completely different pattern. We'd already found one and then we changed it when we saw the final thing. So the Vicky So's Lucia dress, this felt the closest. His was like a really kind of, it was like almost like a slip dress. He had lots of detail which he'd taken from the dress and put it over the kind of round the bust area. And then crucially at the back, it had this kind of long crossover detail at the back and quite a low back. So we thought this dress would work really nicely because it's got that kind of feel and the kind of like slip dress sort of feel. Then we had Georgie. I loved hers, and it was quite a simple sort of dress, but she put so much detail into it that I think you could have almost missed how much work she put into it to make quite a simple item. And I thought that she could have used the Simplicity S9594. It was a very simple little round neck, strappy, slightly kicked out from, actually ended up being very short, but from the line drawing it looked like it's slightly kicked out. So I thought this vintage pattern would work really well for that. It feels very similar, but if you like that style, that one is definitely, it's a Simplicity rejig, you know what I mean, reprint. So it's one of their old patterns that they've reprinted. Then we had Lauren, and Lauren's was probably the hardest. So she had made a sort of bandeau style little top with a kind of high-waisted skirt that kind of was quite tight and then had like this kind of puffball feature, and it was quite short and fitted. And we spent a long time looking. And actually the closest we came is a YouTube tutorial on how to, I'll put a picture up of what it looks like, but there's a YouTube tutorial of how to do it. So if you did really like that style of skirt, I'll pop a link to the YouTube video so you can watch it and try and recreate it. Then we had Luke. Luke was using their mum's wedding dress, which I thought was quite, well, as they said in it, it was a sign of love to hand over your wedding dress. So this one was also another one that was really difficult to find. It was a kind of jacket with these really big statement sleeves. They'd taken the cuffs off and reused them, so it had little buttons all the way up. Then it had this sort of crossover detail at the front and then into kind of a shift dress. So it was, in terms of like hunting for pattern, quite tricky. So what we found, which we thought would work quite nicely, is the Trend Patterns tuck sleeve top. It's got that, it had the same sort of feel with the sleeve, and it's the most gorgeous top if you actually haven't come across it before. It's got darts at the front, it's V-neck, little raglan sleeves, but then it's got this amazing sleeve, and it's so beautiful. I've seen like it in the flesh on people, and there is such a lovely pattern, and we felt like this had the same sort of feel. So that one was that. Then we had Marcus. whose wife, I mean, this is quite wild, had given her wedding dress to him to use. And I really liked it because he was making a menswear outfit using the wedding dress, and I thought it was a really interesting take on it. And it was really interesting. So pattern wise for this, for the waistcoat, the McCall's 8442, I picked this one because actually it was quite hard to find a waistcoat that didn't have darts at the front or seams, which his didn't. So this one ticked those boxes. There's two different styles you can see. And in the picture, you can see the guy in the kind of orange one. That one felt closest to his. Then for the bottoms, he made a pair of shorts. These actually I know are spot on because the pattern number flashed up. They're an out of print pattern, but obviously you can usually get these on eBay. It's a Vogue pattern. It's a 9324. Really nice actually pair of shorts, but that one I know is definitely spot on. Then we had Pasha, who made this super cute little one shoulder dress. I thought hers was amazing. She's such a good maker, isn't she? Like, she's so talented. You can just see the way that she fits and the finish. She's really, really great. So we thought she could have used the McCall's 8380 and then put a big bow on the top. It is very similar feel to hers. It might have a little less volume in the skirt than hers. But yeah, if anyone's got any suggestions on any of these patterns, let us know, because we're really up for hearing them. It's just, we're going on what we think it is, and we're not obviously right. So thoughts on a postcard for that one. And then last but not least, we've got Susie, who made this kind of really deep V dress, which she put an insert of lace, and then it was very short with a couple of tiers of fabric. I don't think this is right, and again, any thoughts, but this would be a very good starting point. The Amy Nicole Chelsea party dress, it's got that really low cut at the front, which you could then insert a panel of lace if you wanted to, or whatever you were doing, but then you could recreate the kind of tiers on the skirt using this. So that could have been her base, because she definitely seems to do a lot of like pattern hacking, just in what you can see in like what she's wearing, and yeah, I think she does quite a lot of like pattern alterations. So that is it. I hope that was useful, and you found, you know, if you were lusting after any of those patterns, we've helped you at least point you in the right direction. Yes, so I won't be here next week, but I will very much look forward to seeing you all the week after, and have a lovely rest of your week. Bye.